It was an ordinary morning at the Grand Chase Bank in downtown Atlanta. The air hummed with the chatter of businessmen, bank tellers, and customers waiting impatiently in line. The atmosphere was polished, crisp, and efficient, just as one would expect from a financial institution of its stature. That was until an old black man, hunched over with age and clad in ragged clothes, shuffled through the large glass doors. In his right hand, he clutched a tattered sack that looked as if it had seen decades of use. The moment he entered, the air changed. He wasn't just ignored, he was unwelcome. People shifted away, their noses wrinkling in disdain. A security guard narrowed his eyes and took a cautious step forward, ready to escort him out before he even made his way to the counter. But the old man wasn't deterred. He approached the nearest teller, a young woman with sharp eyes and a forced smile. "I'm here to check on my bank," he said, his voice strong despite his frail appearance. The teller blinked. "I'm sorry, sir." "This bank?" He gestured around with a crooked finger. "It belongs to me." A moment of stunned silence passed. Then, as if on cue, laughter erupted from several people around him. The security guard let out a small chuckle, while a well-dressed banker nearby scoffed openly. "Sir, are you here to make a withdrawal?" the teller asked, regaining her composure. "I suppose you could call it that," the old man said, placing his sack on the counter. "But first, let me show you something." The laughter died down as curiosity replaced amusement. The teller hesitated but leaned forward. With slow, deliberate movements, the old man untied the knot at the top of his sack and reached inside. What he pulled out made the entire room go silent. Stacks upon stacks of old, yellowed documents. He laid them down with great care, each one bearing the official seal of banks long merged into what Chase had become today. There were deeds, stock certificates, legal agreements, proof, undeniable proof, that the original land and assets upon which this very bank was built had once belonged to him. More precisely, to his grandfather, passed down through generations. The manager, a balding man in a stiff suit, hurried over, pushing aside the curious onlookers. He picked up one of the documents and squinted at it. His face paled. This can't be right," he muttered. "Oh, it is," the old man replied, his eyes twinkling with something fierce and determined. "And according to these papers, your bank has been operating on land that still, legally, belongs to me." Murmurs spread across the bank like wildfire. "Let me call legal," the manager stammered, sweat forming at his temples. "Go ahead," the old man said, crossing his arms. "I'll wait." What followed was a storm of phone calls, frantic document verification, and hushed discussions between lawyers and executives. Hours passed, but the truth remained unshaken. The old man wasn't just some confused wanderer. He was, by all legal standings, the rightful owner of the land on which this Chase Bank had been built. By afternoon, the bank's CEO had flown in. He arrived with a team of lawyers, each carrying briefcases filled with options, compensation, settlements, anything to make this problem disappear. But the old man had already made up his mind. "I don't want your settlements," he said. "I don't want your hush money. I want justice." The CEO swallowed hard. "What do you propose?" A slow smile spread across the old man's face. "Simple. I want my bank." It took months of negotiations, but eventually, the impossible happened. The bank didn't shut down, nor did it relocate. Instead, a new name was added to the list of stakeholders, a name that had been long erased by history, but was now restored with honor. The old man, whose grandfather had once been cheated out of his land and fortune, reclaimed what was rightfully his. And as he walked into the bank each morning, no longer a dismissed old man, but a respected owner. The very same people who once laughed at him now bowed their heads in acknowledgement. For justice, no matter how long it takes, always finds its way home. As the days passed, the bank's employees grew accustomed to seeing their new co-owner. Some treated him with admiration, while others still struggled to reconcile the man they had laughed at with the man now sitting in the executive meetings. One such person was Darren Cole, a young, ambitious banker who had mocked the old man the day he walked in. He avoided eye contact with him, but the old man noticed. One day, as Darren passed by his office, the old man called out, "Son, come in here for a moment." Darren hesitated but obeyed. "You seem troubled," the old man observed, his sharp eyes seeing through Darren's nervous demeanor. I just," Darren sighed. "I treated you with disrespect that day. I'm ashamed of it." The old man nodded slowly. A man isn't measured by his past mistakes, but by how he learns from them. I've been watching you. You're smart, ambitious, you've got a future here. Darren's eyes widened. You really think so? I do, but remember, power and money mean nothing if you don't treat people with respect. Darren left that office with a new perspective, carrying those words with him as he grew in his career. Meanwhile, the old man didn't just stop at reclaiming his legacy. He established a program that provided financial literacy and small business loans to underserved communities. He knew what it meant to be pushed aside, and he vowed that no one else would face what his family had endured. Under his leadership, the bank flourished, not just in profits, but in impact. And so, his story became legend, a reminder that perseverance, truth, and justice always prevail, no matter the odds.